Hi, I'm Rev Myron. I'm a minister through Pathways of Light, and I've been a Course in Miracles student for the last 40 years. What I'm doing this year is going through the lessons, reading them with the Holy Spirit, gaining clarity, and then writing about whatever comes into my mind at that point. And so that's what I'm sharing with you today. So let's get started. Lesson 17, I see no neutral things. This idea is another step in the direction of identifying cause and effect as it really operates in the world. You see no neutral things because you have no neutral thoughts. It is always the thought that comes first, despite the temptation to believe that it's the other way around. So let's look at that sentence again. It is always the thought that comes first, despite the temptation to believe that it is the other way around. This is not the way the world thinks, but you must learn that it is the way you think. If it were not so, perception would have no cause and would itself be the cause of reality. In view of its highly variable nature, this is hardly likely. So by now, you're probably not surprised that we see no neutral things because we think no neutral thoughts. If you're like I was, however, you probably need a lot of practice in order to accept this as true, or accept it as true all the time. The temptation is to see something and then believe you have thoughts about it. I see someone acting badly and then maybe have judgments about that person based on their behavior. That's not really how it works, though. In actuality, the thought always comes first. If we expect bad behavior, we will find it. If we want to see bad behavior outside ourselves, then we will. You might wonder why anyone would want to see bad behavior in someone else. To understand this, we must remember that the world was made as a place to project our guilt. We feel safer when we find someone or something to blame instead of ourselves. So that's our motivation. The problem with this kind of thinking is that we keep the cycle going in this way. We expect bad behavior, and so we see it. We think about the bad behavior, and so we see more bad behavior. We're always either adding to the problem or the solution. So the way to end this cycle is to see the bad behavior, realize that on some level we have asked for this, and then to choose differently. Instead of judging and seeing guilt, recognize it as a call for love and give love instead. So here's our practice. Paragraph 2, in applying today's idea, say to yourself with eyes open, I see no neutral things because I have no neutral thoughts. Then look about you, resting your glance on each thing you note long enough to say, I do not see a neutral blank because my thoughts about blank are not neutral. For example, you might say, I do not see a neutral wall because my thoughts about walls are not neutral. I do not see a neutral body because my thoughts about bodies are not neutral. Paragraph 3, as usual, it is essential to make no distinctions between what you believe to be animate or inanimate, pleasant or unpleasant. Regardless of what you may believe, you do not see anything that is really alive or really joyous. That is because you are unaware as yet of any thought that is really true and therefore really happy. Paragraph 4, 3 or 4 specific practice periods are recommended and no less than 3 are required for maximum benefit, even if you experience resistance. However, if you do, the length of the practice period may be reduced to less than the minute or so that is otherwise recommended. Did it come as a surprise to you that even the pleasant things are to be looked at as well? I always wanted to look at only the bad stuff and resisted looking at the good things. But as Jesus tells us, we don't see anything that is really alive or really joyous. This is because at this point in the lessons, we are not yet aware of our true thoughts, and so not aware of our happy thoughts. I was thinking about this phenomenon and how it must be true even if it is not immediately obvious to me. So I thought about my computer since I'm using it right now. I really like my computer for many reasons and appreciate it for the uses I've given it. But it was expensive, and I know one day I will have to replace it. This puts a damper on my happiness. Sometimes things go wrong and I have to call the techs, and I dread that. Another damper on my happiness. Okay, I can imagine this is true about all things in the world. So let's just do the lesson as instructed and trust our teacher. Thank you so much for watching my video and sharing this lesson with me. If you enjoyed this, found it helpful, then please like and subscribe. And I'll see you tomorrow with another lesson.